Hey, everybody. Look at that. I like the waves. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. My name is Jared here with Yokoko, and it's time for yet another Yokoko Live. This time we get to get techie and technical. We get to go deep into the weeds, so to speak. We've had some great conversations with some other team members, but this time we get two brand new individuals. They've got really cool like titles, and they do really amazing things and stuff that I I think I understand. But today we're going to find out really what it is. So if you don't mind, Sarah or Leo, whoever would like to go first, whoever is more energetic, I guess, can just jump in. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do here at Yokoko.
I'll jump in.
Ladies first.
Yeah, so Leo and I are both senior full stack engineers here at Yokoko. And a lot of what that means is that we think a lot about how to build the thing that does what our client needs for their business. And I've been with Yokoko for actually a little over 10 years, just celebrated my 10-year anniversary last month. And uh, I love getting into the weeds and getting into the nerdy code part of thing, but it's really important to me to do it with sort of a purpose, and to be thinking about like what's the purpose of it. I find technology interesting, but not really for its own sake. It's always a means to an end. And so that has worked really well for me here at Yokoko, where we've got this focus where I'm using like my nerdy geeky powers to do something that matters.
I love that. I love that. That's fantastic. And Leo, uh, well, go ahead and introduce yourself, and then I've got a follow-up question. I've already got one ready for you.
Sure, no problem. First, thank you for having us. It's amazing to have this opportunity to talk about what we do, because I think software development usually looks like a black box, and software developers look like magicians. And although we know things that are complicated, it's actually everything we do is actually used to for a purpose, as Sarah said, and this is what we love to do. So, well, I'm Leo Muniz. I'm from Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. I've been working with software development for over 20 years, and I've been at Yokoko at almost 2 years. I think I complete 2 years in March 12th, if I'm not wrong.
Nice.
And yeah, and it has been a pleasure because every time I get to start working, I remember why I'm doing whatever I'm doing and how I'm going to help people and help them to achieve their goals and to make their life easier and to find solutions to their problems and pain points. So I think that's what drives us to that point, to be software developers and to solve these problems and make things work well for them.
Do you both like puzzles? Like, I feel like if you're in software or development or engineering, like you have that analytical brain. Do you enjoy puzzles?
I do. I think it
with
depends on the
with a
puzzle.
really big pause at the front end.
Yeah, I was just afraid what comes next, because are
Yeah,
you
no.
throwing us a puzzle to solve? Maybe we're not that smart, maybe, you know.
Yeah,
But
I was
I
just.
do enjoy some puzzles, yeah.
What about you, Sarah? Do you like puzzles?
I do like puzzles, but it's funny because when I do puzzles, I do them almost exclusively with one of my friends, and she and I do puzzles in like 100% opposite ways. And what she likes, I hate, and what I like, she hates. And so I am very much like it. I've learned that I like puzzles, but only really specific. Like I like to take a piece that looks interesting and figure out where it fits in. And I have to have the box or the paper, and I will spend 20 minutes holding this piece of puzzle and trying to figure out where it goes, and then I'll be like, there it is, it goes right here. And she's the one that she lays out all the puzzle pieces by shape, and I'm like, "Oh, this is horrible. I hate this so much." So, I like I like puzzles with a lot of really specific qualifiers.
That's okay. That's okay. I've always like my wife loves puzzles. Like she's got an analytical mind and she's got that like determined mindset and that I'm going to look through all the different layers of how either the specific piece fits in there or how do you look at the grand like scheme of things. And as my time here at Yoko has grown, like there's a lot of similarities between puzzles and websites as an example, where there's a lot of pieces that go into it that you have to make sure you know what those pieces are and how they work, and are you putting the right piece in the right spot for the right reason or things of that nature. So as we start to roll into our conversation, I'm really excited because this is a very technical conversation. So I'm excited to learn a lot from both of you because of your experience and just your knowledge and how gifted you both are in this world. But also for those that are watching, the last couple episodes have been a really good, hey, here's the first couple steps into a specific item. And in conversations with you both, I feel like this episode with integrations and how do those work, I think is going to be a really fantastic opportunity for those that might not have a really deep insight into how integrations work or things of that nature. So all of that to say, I'm excited. I'm ready. We've got 7.5 hours to talk through everything. So we're really, really stoked about this. Now, so with that, let's kick things off. Leo, I want to kind of throw this one to you. I think it's a good foundational question. We've started this the same way the last couple episodes, and I think it's really good to start it here as well. But what is an integration? When we talk about integrations today, we're going to go, a few different routes probably, but what's a really great way for all of us that maybe aren't as technically knowledgeable as yourself? What is an integration?
Okay. Well, in theory, we are talking here about software integrations, but and to explain software integrations, we can think of 2 or more systems that are connected to shared data. Simple as that. And as software developers, we actually develop the bridge between these systems to make them to exchange data seamlessly. So that's a simple explanation, but I think that we could use comparison to make it easier to understand that. So let's think about trend timetables. And so when a central timetable is updated, all the stations automatically updates their timetables too, and automatically receives this data and adjust whatever they need to adjust to have the information read to travelers or whatever. But this data can also be consumed by booking websites or by I don't know, ticket machines, and then the whole experience is different. This and in a booking website and in a ticket machine, travelers have filters so that they can select to where they're going, the time, which type of train they're using. So it's important to understand that each touch point can provide a different experience for the customer. So we have a central location that spread the information across different touch points, and these touch points receive the information and then provide an experience based on what their customers or their visitors, travelers, or whatever the audience needs. So I think that's might be a good comparison for understand what is an integration. This whole tram system is integrated to display the latest information updated for travelers.
Yeah, I love that. That's fantastic. Sarah, anything you want to add into that? Any more clarity? I feel like you did a really good job, but I always want to let you offer anything if you so wish.
Nope, I'm happy with it. Let it stand.
That's Sarah's job for this episode. She just has a rubber stamp that says we are good. It's good to go. Okay, so let's kind of take that conversation, Sarah, a little bit further and talk maybe a bit more about um, integrations that we use, software integrations that we use. Could you maybe go into a bit more detail, a bit more specific detail about the types of integrations that we use, or maybe some of the larger ones that we see with a lot of our clientele, and talk a bit about how those integrate and how those work?
Mhm, sure. So every organization has some kind of system where they track the stuff that's important to their mission. We're going to talk a little bit later and show some examples of an animal shelter website that we've worked on recently. Um, and in that case, they have a shelter management system, and that system tracks which animals are available, their photos, their names, and what adoption events are coming up, all of this kind of stuff, all the information that's important to that organization. For a membership organization, we work with a lot of associations that are membership associations. It might be an association management system. It tracks members, dues, certifications. For a sales team, it might be a CRM. Some organizations might just have a spreadsheet or a database that somebody built years ago. It doesn't really matter what we call it. What's important about it is that you have this information living somewhere. And what the integration do that we build is take that information that's locked into this one system, and it unlocks it to use it in other systems. Specifically, when we're working with it, it's usually the website. Sometimes it will be across other kinds of information, other places for information. So, for example, if it's an association that has a learning management system or an events platform that's separate from their association management system, all of those systems exist in different shapes to hold data. And so those are the ones that we work with most frequently in our integrations, is these data repositories, basically, of that. But it can be in almost any kind of format. The idea that's important is just that it's a system that holds the information that's important to that organization's mission, business goals, that kind of thing.
Awesome. Leo, I'm going to give you an opportunity. Would you like to add anything on there?
No, that was perfect.
Stamp of approval. Look at you two. I love it. I absolutely love it. So it kind of sounds like they're going back to that puzzle analogy at the very beginning. Like there is a specific purpose that these integrations are used for. You don't just kind of throw them in there willy-nilly and say, oh yeah, because this other organization uses this, we need to use it as well if it doesn't make sense, if it doesn't fit, so on and so forth. So it sounds like there is, like, every integration needs to have some sort of a solution or a solving mindset. Like it needs to have that objective. So Sarah, could you go maybe a bit more into detail about like that mindset of how do you make sure that those integrations that we are applying into websites are solving those problems, and then how do we, if you can go into it, how do we identify what those problems are, so on and so forth?
So the the classic thing that I look for is anytime somebody's like, why is this so hard? Or why do we have to enter this in two places? That's often like a really good clue that an integration might be appropriate, because like I was saying, each of these systems that holds data, kind of by default, that data is sort of locked in that system. But if you want to use it somewhere else, that's where an integration can be helpful. And in terms of like the specific problems that it's solving, there's kind of a few ways we look at it. One is redundant work. So if you are having to enter information, the same information in multiple places, that gets tedious really fast. The theory of relativity totally applies to data entry. And when you spend your time entering the same information, it makes a 30-second task feel like an hour. Like it's just, there's something so irritating about having to re-enter the same information. And so sometimes it's not even, like that it necessarily takes that long, but it's this friction point. And so a lot of times the organizations that we're working with, it's a real like quality of life thing for their staff to have, you've already got this information. It just feels wrong to have it. You're like, it's already there. I already entered it. It's like when you go to a doctor's office and they ask you to fill out the same information on multiple forms. It just is a hugely frustrating experience for a human. And so that's oftentimes where we kind of start is, they're like, we already are entering this information. The example that we'll give about the animal shelter, they already have a shelter management system where they already have all of the pets in there, but they want them to be on the website for reasons I'll talk about in a second. And so without an integration, the option is for some poor human to have to go and re-enter that same information in the second place. And the integration means when you enter it once, you put it in the system that you're already using, and it shows up everywhere that you need it to. So there is a time savings. There's also a tremendous sort of cognitive savings in terms of doing the work that actually matters versus doing busy work. Another reason that we often do integrations is they let us sort of step outside the vision that the software vendor had. So a lot of these systems that we integrate with, they have a lot of features. It is not uncommon for like association management systems to have the ability to put in events and keep track of those, or to have a directory, that kind of thing. But what they don't often have is a way to really customize that experience. And so they have, there's kind of the way that they set it up is the way that it's available to you. With an integration, you actually we unlock that data and let it be something that you can manage completely. So you get to control the presentation, right? You get to think through, like, what happens if we're doing a member directory and we have an incomplete profile. It doesn't, we don't like it when it just puts like field after field that's empty. We can control that kind of presentation. We can shape the experience around what the audience needs, not just what the vendor provides. You can add features that maybe the vendor doesn't support, like analytics, tracking conversions. You can actually create pathways to action with that information that the vendor didn't provide. So an example, we've actually built a couple of directories that specifically are designed to help visitors connect with the person in the directory, right? So sometimes it's just for information, but like we have one that's a find a therapist directory that helps people find the help that they need in a specific area. And that directory is basically, the whole point of it is that people find that therapist and reach out to them. And through the directory, we make that easy. That's something that the AMS that's associated with that project doesn't provide. And by doing an integration, we get that opportunity to really customize that experience for the association. And then kind of a sort of secondary benefit to that is when you've got this integration that's putting all of this information on your website in a really good, thoughtful format, you also get SEO and AI benefits if you're looking to get that information found more readily. It's the kind of thing where if somebody had to enter all of those pets by hand, it probably wouldn't happen, right? You wouldn't end up with that content on the website. They would just link to the sort of standard experience that doesn't necessarily meet all their needs. And they would not have people coming to the website for that information. Once you have that information presented well on the website and really carefully considered, it's a natural place for search engines to send people. So it also improves the performance of the website in general. just because of those other aspects.
Awesome. That's a great answer. That's a really, really great answer. Like every time I was thinking of a follow-up question, you would kind of answer it as you continued forward. So if you're watching this live, feel free to drop, questions. If you're watching on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook, and if you have specific questions, we are happy to try to get those answered for you because we have two really, really smart people on the call. So Sarah, you talked a bit about like figuring out, you controlling the presentation, being able to measure what's happening, having that control to kind of pull information. Leo, what I'd really love to ask from you is like examples. Like, do you like? I think the best thing that we can do right now is kind of show everybody, hey, this is kind of how these work, or here's an example of an integration and how it's helped this organization. I think Sarah mentioned earlier of, hey, we might have a little behind the scenes peek at a great organization that we get to work with, but I don't want to spoil all of that good stuff. So Leo, the big question to you is, how do these organizations use these integrations and use these systems and services to help them continue to move forward and not have to manually do this over and over and over and over again?
Sure. But before showing examples, I want
Okay.
to share that maybe one of our biggest challenges are to identify these pain points that Sarah was talking about, because we deal with so many different industries, and different industries have different needs, and inside each industry, different companies have different workflows, so this is why it's so important for these companies to have a dedicated software to meet their needs. And that's why you need to embrace whatever they is using, and to integrate, to create the bridge we were talking about earlier, that will just allow the data to flow to the site, and then in our site we can provide the look and feel that will fit better their audience needs and whatever they want to consult, to research, if a therapist, if they want to find a therapist, if an animal, if they want to look what animal they want to adopt, and how big is the animal, because you can provide filters so that they can select the breed, how big is the animal, how and so there are many options that you can provide, but we need to understand first what is the company need, So, and as we are talking about animals, let's show you some cute animals. Let me share my screen.
Also, I just want to point out that the one time that I didn't ask, is there anything that you would like to add into that answer? Is the one time that Leo was like, actually, yes, I have some more stuff that I want to add in. So I'm sorry for not asking you before. I just kind of jumped ahead. Oh man, but you did a great. That was fantastic. I loved that.
That's okay. Let me just.
All right.
Let me know if you can see my screen, please.
Yay, the animal.
Okay, so we released this site in January, and it's there are many cute animals, as you can see, and their goal is to connect animals and people to adopt these animals, basically is that. But they promote some events, and they want people to get to know these animals to decide. So the information need to be in their hands. So the site must be the central location that someone that wants to adopt a dog or a cat comes to take a look and see if they feel comfortable and feel safe to adopt an animal with them, So using this Shelter Love API, which is this shelter management system, we are fetching all the animal information from the system and populating the site here with lists, filters, and events, and everything else that I'm going to show you right now. So As an example, the available dogs page. Here we have all the available dogs available for adoption. And look, this cute face, Brownie.
I like the name Bobo. That's a fun name for a dog.
But yeah, indeed. And their shelter management system wouldn't provide their customers filters like that. So like gender, the life stage, puppy, adult, the breed, and the size. So they can filter these animals and understand. So I want an adult male only. Do like any specific breed here?
Oh, wow.
Retriever, Labrador. So Boo Boo.
Bobo! Bobo and Ozzy! Yay!
So that's how we can provide a seamlessly experience for customers, for their customers actually, because they can use the site and to search and actually find whatever they are looking for. And they can even search dogs based on name. Maybe they are already talking about a dog that they want to know. So they have the name, they can search dogs. And another cool example is having events, because they're common. Many associations, companies promote events so that they can have their members, their customers involved in whatever they are doing or trying to promote. So here, for this Lost Dog and Cat Rescue Foundation, they are actually promoting events to adopt animals, So if you wanted to adopt an animal, it's a very good idea to be in one of these events. So like they're gonna be in February, this Bishop event race, there's 7 Corners Pet Smart Dog Adoption event, and they in the shelter management system, they can flag which animals are going to be at this event. So these attendees here, it's a list that comes from the shelter management system, and we can filter exactly like we were filtering dogs by breed or size in the other page. Here we are filtering dogs by those that are going to be at this event. So if you are attending to this event, you were already expecting that one of these dogs will, and maybe you're already looking for this dog and are interested in adopt them, and so it's a way that they can communicate whatever they want to communicate.
What was that, Sarah?
Sorry, Sarah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just sorry. I'm getting distracted. I would love one of those puppies.
All of the doggies. All of the doggies. Side note, if you would like to, you can go visit the Lost Dog and Cat, not shelter. Help me out with the name, the official name, the Lost Dog and Cat
Lost Dog Rescue Foundation.
Foundation. Thank you both so much. You can visit them at lostdogrescue.org. That was Leo, I was listening, but at the same time, I think I might have been in the same boat as Sarah, where I was like, oh, look at the dogs, look at the puppies, look at all of the fantastic animals that are there. I'm sure that they would be more than happy to, let you come out to one of their events, which I think kind of semi full circle here, going back to Sarah, what you said towards the beginning, which is, hey, why would you want to manually do this work over and over and over again when you've already got it? You've got all the stuff that you want in this spot. Now it's just a matter of pulling it and putting it into the right spots and in the right locations and using that database to be more or less the brain. And then now you can just spend more time, fundraising or spending more time out at events and not having to invest hours upon hours doing this menial, repetitive work. Let the system do the work for you. Let it do what it's there for. And you can do what you're there for, which is, in this case, letting people know about all these amazing dogs and cats that need homes. Before we wrap up, is there anything that you would encourage to an association, a nonprofit, a for mission or a mission driven for profit, that when they start thinking about integrations, when they start thinking about, ooh, hey, we're contemplating building a new website, or we're giving a refresh, we don't know what direction we want to really go yet in regards to what integrations we want to use. Any words of wisdom from both of you in regards to, where should they start thinking about that process?
I mean, I would definitely emphasize the not because we want to dwell on pain, but where is the pain right now, right? Where
Sure.
are you spending time doing rework, doing dual entry, or where is there information that's sort of trapped in a place that's not an ideal experience for your people, whether your people are your staff or they're your customers or members. Where is it that we do a lot of directories, because that is one. We do a lot of events integration, because that is another that people commonly run into. This information feels like it's trapped over here and it's not a good experience. You probably are already getting that feedback from members. For instance, if you're a member organization, you probably are getting feedback like members wish that their profile showed up more prominently. They always wish that their profile showed up more prominently, as it turns out. But those are things, or the things where you've got staff members who are spending a considerable amount of their week basically moving data around. If you're moving data from one system to another, that's a really good sign that an integration might help. Leah, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, in addition to what Sarah is saying, I think that these points are very important, and we need to understand them to provide a good solution. But in addition to that, I think even the minor problem could solve, if solved, could make their lives way easier than they expect. So sometimes people are afraid of saying what bothers them, what are holding them back, but we don't have ways to know, because if they don't say, we can't guess, and mainly because we just create the bridge between these systems. We cannot automate almost everything they want, but we need to know what they need. So even the minor issue is probably solvable, and we can tackle in a smart way to make their lives better. And so if I have one advice to give to them, is say everything you want, Don't try to hide something because it looks like silly or a dumb issue or a dumb question. Just say it, because they don't have our experience in developing software, but we don't have their experience in manage their jobs and their industries, their work, So we need them to talk so that we can understand what we can do to solve their problems, So please say whatever you want to say, or don't hide anything from us, because we really need to know to unblock them and to provide the best solution they can have for their websites,
I think that's really, really smart. Like, you don't know what you don't know, and it's impossible I think every association or nonprofit wants to be good stewards of the funding that they have, and to use the resources that they've been given, either through donations or through government funding or whatever it might be. So I totally echo that of, hey, just be honest, be direct, throw everything out there, because that just gives, smart people like you that opportunity to say, hey, there's actually really simple solutions that we could apply here. Or there might be something that you're like, ooh, this is unique, and this is going to be it might push you as developers and as engineers, as engineers, to create something that's, maybe never been created before because you didn't know that this was a problem that people were having. So I think the moral of the story there is the thing that we've always learned growing up is be honest, be real and be true with each other. Speaking of, oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to add to that, like, just bringing it up doesn't commit you, right? So it's definitely one of those things where, the answer might be, this is not worth the financial investment. And that is, and we will be clear with people when we don't think it's a good call. Nobody here wants to develop something that's not going to really solve an important problem for the money that they're spending. But you don't know, and especially, I know this is not a conversation about AI, but with AI changing the way that things are being developed now, a lot of things that used to be really hard to solve have gotten easier to solve. So if you ask, we can give you really helpful feedback about whether or not it is an option. And just asking doesn't mean that you have to do it. It just gives you information to make a good decision.
Yep. Super duper smart. Sarah, Leo, thank you both so much. I appreciate that you gave some time to sit here and chat with me and the wonderful people of the internets to all over the world, this global production of Yococo Live all across the world. If you are watching, or if you know of somebody that we could help, if there's an association or a nonprofit that you're a part of, or there's somebody close to you, or you just know them, and there's something that we can do to support them or encourage them, that is what we're here for, is to support and encourage and empower those people that are doing good in the world. So feel free to reach out and let us know. We'd be happy to chat with them, chat with you. Other than that, I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you back next time. All right, Sarah, Leo, thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.